Welcome everybody to the Learn and Grow series meetup. And I'm your host, Loomba. I'm a commercial real estate investor. And today I have a very special guest, my good friend, Faisal Ansan. Welcome, Faisal. A little bit about Faisal. Faisal is a certified high performance coach since 2015. He's also the co-founder of Coaching Mastery community, where he helps teach other coaches to hone and further develop their coaching ability and their business practices. Faisal has coached over 2,000 individuals with diverse backgrounds. He runs Space Creators Community, where he holds weekly high performance and personal development sessions in a small group settings. He guides and teaches people to create the space for their potential, vision, and inner self to surface. Today, our topic is clarity in vision for now and the future. Faisal has also promised to give us his vision worksheet, which I already shared with you guys. And also he's offering his course, which is worth $47. And you can email him after the session and he can have one-on-one with you and he can provide you the link for that. Welcome, Faisal. I'm super excited to have you with us today. Stage is all yours.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I just want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you, Venki, for giving me the stage here. I really appreciate it. This is a huge part of who I am. And I want to share a little bit about myself before I go into it. Before we go into the exercise, we'll be doing a little bit of a faster version of it, but I want you to get the tool so you can work on it on your own. And it is a powerful tool that will help you get really and develop clarity as you're moving towards the end of the year and the coming years. And this is a long-term thing, but also it'll help you with the short-term process in your life and in your business as you think about this. But I want to share a little bit. For me, this became important mostly because I needed something to work through. And a lot of times, just like everybody else, I knew what goals were, and I'm a coach and I've worked with all sorts of strategies to build better goals. But what I was not fully taught was how our vision works. And I had to kind of develop the process, some things I obviously learned from other people on my path. But what I found more and more as I studied leaders and people who were very effective, I found that they started with a vision. They didn't start with goals. They started with a vision of whether it was a personal vision or a vision for their community, organization, or their business. And everything went down to that vision. Everything had to become aligned with that. And as I had thought about it, I was thinking about this stuff, but naturally we all develop our own vision. We might not be conscious of it. So for me, just about 7 years ago, when I was starting out as a coach, as a high performance coach, I had just left my career as an engineer, mechanical engineer, and I jumped cold turkey into the entrepreneurial world. And it wasn't like I was ready in any way. I didn't know what I was doing. And I still remember those nights. And when I left my job, I didn't want to go back to it. So I actually, just to supplement some of my income until the business could be built, what I did was I started driving Uber, and I would do that while I was building my business full time as a coach. And I still remember, especially in winter months, when I would start up early in the morning, around 5:30 in the morning. And I would still remember I would have my coffee on the left side in my car. And as I would begin to turn on the app, and I would wait for rides to come in. And as I'm drinking my coffee, what I would feel and what I would think would be these series of thoughts and emotions. So I'd be like, what the hell are you doing with your life? What if none of this works out? What if everybody's right? What if you made the wrong move for quitting a successful career? And what if you can't provide for your family? What if none of this stuff works out? And along with it, those powerful emotions that come with it, and it would be hard. Every day was that process for me. But one of the things that would pull me kind of back from that would help me deal with all that, that would help me not to give up on my path, that would help me stay focused on what mattered, was that I did have a vision naturally. What I would picture is this, to serve people, to be in these kind of conversations. What I would picture is speaking in front of people. What I would picture is time spent with my family in the way that I wanted to. to do it. What I would picture is building a business that was aligned with my values. What I would picture is creating a life that mattered to me, a purposeful, fulfilled, connected life where I was showing up present with my family, but I was also building something that would serve a lot of people. And as I would as I would see those pictures, as I would feel them, then those fears didn't have a lot of an impact on my behavior, even though they were still there. Those thoughts were still there, but the vision was much more powerful because it was just as real as the reality in front of me. And this is the power of vision and this is why leaders will say that I have seen when they create something that took decades or a long time, they will say that I've seen this much more before what you are seeing right in front of me, right in front of you tangibly. This was always real for me. And the whole power of the vision is for you to create a picture, an experience of a life that matters to you, an experience of a life that could completely transform not only your experience, but of the people around you. And I'm hoping that the exercise that I walk you through will get you connected to that life. And at this point, for me, I did create that life. I did create a life where I lived the way I wanted to live. I contributed in the way that I want to contribute. I'm always learning about things that matter to me. Traveling the world with my family half the time. The other half the time, I'm building businesses with the people that matter, that I feel aligned with. And all of it, I would say, came from a vision. And all of it, obviously, there was a strategic process around that to make it a reality. And that's what Vicky was referring to, is that I'd be happy to give you guys all access to that strategic process and my whole course that I developed. I sell that, but if that serves you guys, I'd be happy to share that for free for you guys. You will just have to, whenever you can, just share your email in the chat, and I'll just send that over to you. And you can do that at any point. I'll just save the chat. So let's jump in. By the way, there's just type in the chat who's excited about their vision for life and for their business. You can type in the chat, raise your hand. Are you excited about your vision? Yes, no? I hope you are. And if you aren't, well, we're going to help you become excited about your vision, because I think your visions are incredibly important. Because usually your vision is around so many important things, around who you're becoming in your life, how you're contributing towards others, and how you're connecting with those around you. And we'll walk through all that stuff. I definitely encourage you to pull out your journals, because we're going to be doing some work. Vinky shared the worksheet or workbook that I have developed, and I'll walk you through that. I think you can either type that on your computer, or you can just write it on your notebook as we work through this. And awesome. I see a lot of people excited on that path, and Vinky just shared the link as well. So let me share my screen, and it will be similar to the workbook that's in front of you. Oh, this is a little bit different. Okay, I'm going to skip some of these slides because we're not going to have a lot of time. I want to jump directly into your vision, because I don't have a lot of time to work through some of these things, as we only have the next 45 minutes. Let me just go back to, give me 1 second. There you go. Are you guys able to see this?
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. And this will be a little bit interactive, so you're going to work through it yourself, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have on the way. And the biggest reason why we start with vision and not goals, and this is this. I'll explain it in a simple way, and I did a couple of podcast episodes with Vinky, and I've explained this in the past as well, is that most people the goals that they set are based on the vision that's given to them. Usually that vision comes from their society, their culture, their parents, and it's a mix of those. And they will take that and they'll use those to create goals. And goals are great. I love goals because without goals, you can't go in any direction. The problem is that when your goals are based on somebody else's vision, you will create it or you will give up. In either cases, even especially if you create whatever you're creating, whether that's a business or a quality of life or the kind of person you're becoming, you get there. One of the worst feelings when you get there is that this is it. This is what I was working for the past 10 years, 20 years. And many of us have been on that path where we work hard towards something, but it didn't feel fulfilling, purposeful. Why? Because it wasn't directly connected to our heart, what mattered to us. And that's what we want to get you to connect with, is that what is a part of your experience. And this can align with your culture or parents or family or religion, but you need to make a conscious decision there. And this process will help you start to think about, well, what matters to you versus automatically doing things that are kind of passed on to you that might or might not serve you. And so let me jump in, and I'm going to walk you through this whole process, but just I want you guys to think about those 3 key areas. And you can think of your vision in the next 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years. 3 of 5 is pretty good. 10 years is good. Whatever timeline works for you. And I want you to think about 3 areas. I want you to think about the experiences that you're looking for in your life. When you look 3 years out or 5 years out in that ideal life, what are the experiences that you're seeking? What are the ways that you want to grow or need to grow, and the ways that you want to contribute? And we'll go deeper into these as we move forward. So, and I'll give you some time to journal about these 2. So this first one is really important because this sets the biggest difference between vision and goals. And I'll give you some examples. For example, this first one, let's say you wanted a beach house. Just for the sake of the conversation, let's say you wanted a beach house. Your goal might be that I want a beach house by 2025, and I want it in this location. I want it this color and this way, or you know the exact design, and you know specifically when and where it's going to be. That's a goal. And great, it's specific enough. You have the details around it, but a vision is a little bit different. An experience that you're seeking is in our consciousness, it shows up different. And humans connect better with experiences than we do with like numbers and goals. For some people, they've trained themselves to do that. But generally speaking, human beings think in terms of we see a picture, we notice an experience, and that's how we make up our mind about a lot of things, or we aspire to go towards. So imagine yourself in that beach house. You're standing on that balcony or terrace. You're looking out in the towards the ocean. You're hearing the sound of the waves crashing, and you can smell the ocean. You can feel the warm breeze hitting you. And as you're looking there, you feel connected to that life because that's what mattered to you. And in the background, you hear your family and friends. And as you turn back, you see them. That's if you want to see your family and friends in that beach house. If you don't, that's your business. But you get the idea that it's an experience in your mind. You're actually engaging your senses when you're thinking about it. You're not just looking at this a specific goal. You're looking at the experience. Does that make sense? Can you guys raise your hands? Shoot a yes, no. If it doesn't, I'd be happy to answer. Go to their wealth and legacy. All right. So I want you guys to do this. Vinky?
I think there's a question from somebody. Andrea raised her hand.
Andrea, did you have a question?
No, he just said raise your hand if you
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. That was my instructions. I just wanted to see if everybody's on the same page here. No worries. Thank you. So I want you guys to spend some time this is where I want you to engage your child brain, not your adult brain. We're not looking at the practical. We're looking at what is possible for you. And what is possible for most of us, we don't know what that is. We usually, as adults, we kind of project where we are and like, oh, well, I make this much, I have this job, or I have this thing going on. In about 5 years, this is what's going to happen. Well, there are a few things we're not taking into account when we think like that. We're not taking into account your growth, your skill sets, your connections, your network, so many things that come into the picture. And so what I want you to do is think like a child. Is like, whatever comes to you is important to you. What do you want to create in your life? What matters? What is that dream that you have that matters to you deeply in your heart? And you're creating this for you, for your family, for your community. It doesn't matter. Think of what matters to you. Whatever you think is good, it's because it's in your consciousness. So think about, like, here are some examples like that human beings might care about. This is not to limit you, but just get you to think about some things that you might want. Maybe you want to travel around the world. Maybe you want to see different parts of the world. And think about that. Maybe that experience is important to you, and put yourself in that experience. Let's say if you are going to Greece, you're walking through the streets there, you're noticing the culture, you're smelling the food, you're seeing the people there. And maybe you want to go with your family or with your friends. Notice them. How would that interaction be? Those are the experiences. Maybe you just want to be close with your family. You want to spend more present time with each other. Maybe you just want to go on those adventures and just travel in nature and just get lost in the beauty of nature and connect with the elements. Maybe you just want a close, intimate relationship, or maybe you want a combination of these. I don't know. It's your life. Or maybe you're seeking that depth, that peace, that experience that matters to you, where you have a deeper spiritual depth and you're connecting to a deeper part of yourself. Maybe that's important to you. Or maybe those toys are important to you. Or maybe you just want to get an RV and travel around North America or South America, wherever you want to go. Or maybe you love those luxury cruises. And what I want you to do is put yourself in those experiences, really open your mind to possibilities. What do you really want? What matters to you? Not what matters to your parents, to your teachers, to whoever has influenced you. What matters to your heart? What kind of life would you would love to have? And give yourself about 3 minutes and just write that down for yourself. And what I will encourage you to do is to feel it and see it in your mind or in your mind's eye. I'll give you about 3 minutes to think about that. I'll put on some music. Then we'll go to the next section. So you get a sense of what it is like to think about it. right. Thank you for working through that. Now, keep in mind that this is going to be not nearly enough time. And my hope is that you see this tool as something useful, that you would spend at least an hour working through this on your own, if not more, because your vision is expansive. There's a lot of elements in there. There's your growth, there's your relationships, there's your idea for business and what you're creating. There are your experiences that you want to create among that. So I really encourage you to spend about an hour after this. You'll have the workbook with yourself, and Vinky's recording it. I'll also give you guys access to my course, so you'll be able to do this on your own. But I just want to give you guys the tools and the experience around it to see what it feels like. Because once you see it, you will know why it's useful. So let's go to the next one. Don't worry if you're not finished or you haven't gone every aspect of it, or some areas you feel confused about, because we can work through that. By the way, how's my voice? Vinky, is it still low?
No, it's good. You sound good.
Okay, great. So this part is the most important aspect of this, I would say, this whole exercise, and this is you. And a lot of people underestimate their own growth. And a big part of vision is who the kind of person you're growing to become. And I always tell my clients this is the person that you are right now is not going to be able to achieve what you're trying to do. You're going to have to grow into the person who will be able to achieve that. And I want you to think of it from that angle. And specifically, when you look at those experiences that you're creating, when you put yourself in there, you can look at it a couple of different ways. How do you see yourself to have grown? Do you see yourself to be more confident, more connected, more at peace, more relaxed, more skill sets that you have in different parts of your life? Or how do you envision yourself growing in that life? And this is going to be important. I want you to think of it from an internal and external perspective. Internally, it might be your sense of confidence. It might be your sense of connection, your ability to process things, your ability to connect with others, your ability to be empathetic, or your listening skill sets. And externally, it might be your leadership abilities. It might be your ability to work through stuff. It might be your technical ability in the specific field you're in. If you're in multifamily, maybe it's your underwriting ability, or maybe it's your ability to raise capital, whatever it is that you're focused on. So I want you to look at it internally and externally. What are some ways that you need to grow internally? What are some ways that you need to grow externally for you to create that life? Because without that growth, that life is not coming. And this will become an important part. And as you're thinking about it, I want you to think about, how do you want to feel in this ideal life? A lot of people create that life, but they only think about the feeling, because they will create a business and they're completely overwhelmed and overrun by it. They'll create a life. They have a lot of things, but they're completely bored to death of that life. So how do you want to feel in that life? Do you want to feel excited? Do you want to feel joyful? Do you want to feel connected? Do you want to feel a sense of purpose? Those feelings are incredibly important. So I want you to think about the ways that you want to grow and the feelings that you want to have in that life. And I'll give you a couple of minutes for that, and we'll go to the next one. So actually really write that down for yourself. All right. Thank you for working through that. How do you guys feel so far? Is this confusing? Is this too much? Is it too little? What's happening? Anybody wants to share their thoughts? Great. Andrea is saying this is a great exercise. Vinky, how is it for you so far?
I think it's a really good exercise. And it's the best way to understand who you are and why you're doing something.
Okay,
I
great.
love it.
Anybody has any questions before we move forward? Anything that might be confusing at this point? Okay, good. All right, let's move ahead. Let's go to the next one. This one becomes very interesting, and you will notice that it doesn't matter which culture you come from, which part of the world you come from, that sense of contribution is a huge part of what it means to be a human being. Why? Because at the core, we're a social species. A huge part of how we look at ourselves comes from in relation to others. For example, we look at ourselves as parents, as teachers, as business owners, as children, as life partners. These are all roles in relation to other people. And we all want to contribute in a meaningful way in our life, in our family, in our community, in the world. But we don't know where to start. And a lot of times when I'm asking people, like, how do you see yourself ideally contributing? One of the most common answers I'll get from multifamily investors is, I want to be a philanthropist. I'm like, okay, that's great. Why is that so important to you? And they usually don't know why. And the reason they don't know why they don't know. I know why they don't know, because they've just been told that's a good thing to do. Nothing wrong with philanthropy, but it needs to be connected to who you are. It needs to be connected to your story. It doesn't have to be big, but it needs to be connected to who you are. As an example, so for example, the work that I do is a huge part of who I am, because I struggled with these things growing up. I didn't know what it meant to be an aware human being. I didn't know what it meant to how to connect with the people around me. I didn't know what it meant to live a purposeful life, to create something that really matters to me. I was living my life based on expectations, and most of what mattered to me, I would suppress it down. And I see a lot of people doing that. And so for me, my work became, as I worked through this stuff, I realized it wasn't just me. It was so many other people struggling in that area. So my work became helping people connect with their potential, what matters to me, what matters to them, what is true in their heart, what can they be truly honest with. And usually their potential is connected to that versus the expectations that they carry around with them from wherever they come from. And so that my work is my contribution, or a huge part of my contribution. And I look at it as that, even if it's a business. So I want you to look at it in relation to your own story. What are some ways that you want to contribute in your family, community, or the world as a whole when you look 3 years out, 5 years out in that experience? Because this is where your sense of purpose is going to come. And it doesn't have to be big. It can be your contribution in your family. Maybe it's the way you show up. Maybe you're more present, more connected. Maybe it's your contribution in your community. And maybe you're a leader in your community, or you ideally want to be. Or maybe it's your contribution in the world, or maybe it's a combination of the above. Doesn't matter what it is. The important thing is what feels connected to you, what matters to you to support people. And we actually know this through a lot of studies now, that contributions that feel connected to who we are in our own path are much more sustainable than those we think we do it as a kind of sense of obligation, that, oh, I should be contributing in this way. They're much more sustainable because we'll do them regardless. Nobody needs to motivate us or tell us, because there was a time for a couple of years I was doing this for free completely. And I was having just as much fun doing it for free as I'm getting paid for it. And my thought was like, I'm having so much fun doing it for free, I might as well get paid for it. And as I got paid for it, it was the same exact feeling. The only difference was that now it's much more sustainable. I can focus on. So I want you to think about that. I'll give you a minute and then we'll go to the last part of this. And then I'll walk you through an exercise around this. All right. So one other point I wanted to hit home there is that as real estate investors, and I'm guessing most of you are here, or multifamily real estate investors, you'll be doing a lot of sharing with people. You're trying to find out if I can collaborate with this person, with this business owner. If you can communicate your vision for life or for your business, that is half the battle. That will pull a lot of people towards what matters to you, and you can refine. You can easily filter out people that don't feel aligned with your vision as you become clear about yourself. Because ideally, you want to connect with people who feel aligned with your vision and values. If those are not there, you can have a great opportunity, but I can tell you it's going to break down pretty fast. And I've seen this over and over in my clients where they don't do that initial work of finding out, well, what matters to this person? What's their vision like? What's their path like? And how does this work with mine? And this will give you clarity around that as you work through this. So this last part is what a lot of people hear from trainers, coaches. They will say, what's your why? Tell me your why. And they won't tell you how to get there. And this is the process to actually get there. Your why is incredibly important, but it's actually connected to your vision. It's connected to what you're creating. And I want you to really think about, like, why do you want to create this life, this business, this quality of life, the kind of experience that you're looking for? Why do you want to grow into that person who's going to create that? Why is it so important for you? Because it's much easier not to do that than to do it. It takes a lot of energy to create what you're trying to create. It takes a lot of effort, consistency, discipline, so many things. Why is it so important to you? Personally, deep down. And for me, for example, this life was important to me because I needed to find out who I was in my core. It was important for me to be aware. It was important for me to contribute in the way that mattered to me. It was important for me to understand the world better. And I don't, one of the first things I don't say is my family is my why. Of course, my family is incredibly important to me, but they fit into that model because if I'm not aware, I don't know how to show up for my family. Because I'll just be reactive. I'll just be doing things what I was taught to do, not how I can ideally show up as a husband, as a father, or as a leader, or as a business partner. And that becomes really important is why is it so important for you to create that? And it's not enough to say, well, because I want millions of dollars. That's not a purpose. That's a medium that will help sustain you. That's not a good enough why. And the reason why it's not a good enough why is because in our psychology, money doesn't actually mean anything. We think about the experiences money can create. And what are those that you already worked through the experiences? But why are they so important for you? Why do they touch your heart more so than other experiences? Why do you want to become like the kind of person that you said you would? Why do you want to contribute in the way that you want to do? I'm going to give this a minute thought, and then we'll go to our exercise. right. Thank you all for working through that. Now, that exercise ideally needs to be done in about 2 hours or so, an hour and a half, 2 hours, because there's a lot in there. I'm doing a fast-paced version of that just because of the time limit that we have. But I just want you to get the tools to work through that. So I really encourage everybody to spend some time working through that. And in the course that I'm going to share for you for free, that's when we make it more practical. How can you take this vision and make it a reality in your life? How can you strategically go towards it? And but before you even go towards that, I wanted to walk you through an experience for this. Because a vision is essentially an experience. You need to be able to see it. You can't just mentally think about it. And I would love to walk you through it. And I just want to encourage you to invite you to do a couple of things. Just be open, because ideally what we want to do is get you emotionally connected to what matters to you. And you already do. I just want to walk you through that process for you to be able to see what you're really writing down in your experience rather than mentally thinking about it. And if you can be open, I've walked many people through this. This might create a realization for you that's deeply important to you. And if you feel a little bit groggy and it's the end of the day, you can actually stand up and do this exercise. Don't fall asleep on me. And if you do, good for you. You'll be more relaxed. So I'm going to share the music in the background. And what I will encourage you to do is just close your eyes for me. And I'll walk you through this. I'll guide you through this exercise. Can you guys hear me and listen to the music at the same time? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, great. Elise says, I once heard that if you can see your vision, then the vision is not big enough. Perhaps. Well, let's try it. Let's give it a try. See what happens. I want you to see it in your own experience rather than pick my theory. So close your eyes and take 5 deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. Just take 5 deep breaths. And as you normalize your breath, stay conscious of your breath. Keep taking conscious breaths, but just take normal breaths. Notice any tension that you might have in your body. In any part of your body. This tension might be in your neck, in your jaws. We clench our jaws in your head, your shoulders. If you feel you need to move your shoulders or your neck, feel free to do so a little bit. Maybe that tension is in your back, in your gut. Just notice it. And keep taking conscious breaths. Now, I encourage you to notice the energy in your body. Usually energy we call emotions. Maybe whatever the emotions are, maybe it's a sense of peace, maybe it's a sense of excitement or nervousness or connection or anxiety or fear, whatever it is, just notice it. You're not doing anything with it. I want you to think back to an experience you might have had in your life recently or in the past where you were dealing with a difficult part in your life. You were going through a hard part in your life. Maybe it was a relationship challenge, maybe it was financial, maybe it was a personal challenge, health challenge, whatever it might have been. Go back to that difficult part in your life where you were struggling. Notice what was happening in your life. And as you look around, notice what you were feeling. What were the emotions? Notice what you feel. as you were going through that experience, there was probably a sense of uncertainty, of worry, of maybe this sense of everything was falling apart, maybe a sense of loss of control, maybe it was a sense of confusion. As you were going through that, at some point you started focusing on the things that you could control. Maybe you focused on your faith. Maybe you focused on your actions that just took you forward. Maybe you lived day by day. As you put one foot in front of the other, you kept moving through it. And at some point, you were on the other side of that experience. And maybe the emotions of fear and worry and regret, all also emotions might have been there, but maybe you noticed that you could go through that. Maybe you felt like you were guided. Maybe you felt empowered that you could work through that. Notice what that feels like in your body. Now, you've gone through multiple experiences like that in your life. If you didn't, you wouldn't be sitting here right now. You've gone through many hardships to be where you are, some small, some big, and every time you've been able to work through it. Feel what that feels like. Notice what that feels like in your system, in your body, in your consciousness. Now, as you're thinking about this, there's a figure that's starting to appear in front of you. This figure comes out of the darkness into the light. And this figure looks like a future version of you. Looks a lot like you, but for some reason, a stronger, more confident, a happier version of you. This future self has a smile on its face, and the self seems more confident, more powerful, more at peace, more connected. Many of the things that you had envisioned in that version of you. Now, the future self hasn't said a word, but you can feel all that. As this self walks towards you, gives you a big hug. It's probably the best hug you've had. The self puts its hand on your shoulder and tells you, "Let me show you what you're about to create, but you're gonna have to trust me. You're gonna have to trust yourself." You take a deep breath because you know you're gonna walk into that darkness. But you say to yourself, "If I can't trust myself, who can I trust?" Saying that, you put one foot in front of the other. You walk into that darkness. It's pitch black. That anxiety, that fear, that uncertainty comes back. You feel it, but you know that you can make this happen because you've done this before. So many different ways. You put one foot in front of the other. You keep walking, even though it's pitch black. You don't know where you're going. All of a sudden, this big blinding light hits your face. You almost have to close your eyes. It's a beautiful day. The sun is shining. There's some white clouds in the sky. You feel a cool breeze on your skin. You see grass under your foot. As you walk forward, you notice some people in the distance. And you notice your future self who tells you, "Go on, it's your life." As As you walk forward, as you get closer to these people, they're laughing, joking around, having fun, connecting with each other. There's music, some of your favorite music in the background. You smell your favorite food. And as you get closer, you notice they're your friends and family, people closest to you. Many familiar faces, but some even unfamiliar faces. As you get closer, your eyes meet someone's eyes that's closest to you. You notice in this person's eyes a level of depth and connection that you never did. But you notice something else as well. You notice this look that says, "I'm proud of you. Thank you for leading us here. Thank you for the courage to lead us here." In fact, you see the same look in everyone's eyes. I'm grateful for your contribution. You take a deep breath and you feel that gratitude, that sense of connection with everyone that matters to you. As you walk forward, you notice this beautiful building beside water. You have this urge to enter it. As you walk in, looks like there's an office space in the corner. It's as if somebody took the design out of your mind. Go towards it, you're pulled there. As you walk in, you notice some pictures on the wall. The first picture is a collage of you and your family traveling, connecting, spending time with each other. And learning to get to know each other, growing together. And you can think back to the memories of what you've gone through, what you've learned, and how much you've learned together, how much you've grown together. And you see the next picture where you see yourself at your best. This is where you're contributing. This is you're adding value. This is where you're showing up as your greatest self. It's where you're serving people that matter to you. You get this sense of purpose, sense of connection with your life and those around you. Your future self comes in front of you again, looks at you dead in the eyes, and tells you, "Thank you for your courage to make this happen. Without you, this would not be possible. Keep moving forward. Keep putting that one foot in front of the other. Your path will be challenging, but you're much stronger than you think you are. You're much more powerful than you think you are. This life is waiting for you. Your people are counting on you." Just keep putting that one foot in front of the other. Before you know it, you'll be here. Don't ever forget this moment. Whenever you guys feel like it, you can open your eyes. I'll give you guys a few seconds to process that and just notice what's happening in your body. Notice what's happening in your mind. And if you can just put in the chat, what do you feel? And just maybe one phrase, what did you connect with the most there in that vision? Put in the chat, what do you feel and what did you connect with the most in that vision? Incredible. Thank you all for sharing. It was an awesome experience. Camille, it felt real and felt at peace and tranquility. Felt a sense of calm. Yes, thank you. Thank you all for sharing. And that's my gift to you. And I would encourage you to work through that more. And really, you will have this recording, work through it and the course. If you're interested in getting that, you can, I won't have time to actually capture the chat, but maybe Vinky can send me a copy of the chat and I can send you guys the course for free. So I encourage you to work through this more on your own. And then I have actually a process for you to strategically make that dream a reality. So you need to begin to live that vision now. It's not in some distant future. You can start living in it now. And we'll talk about how that can work. And I'm glad you were able to feel connected to it. I wish I had a little bit more time because I usually spend about half an hour to 40 minutes to connect and find out what everybody's experience was. I do need to jump into a different coaching session that I run for my community. I do want to thank Vinky and all of you for being present, for giving me the space to walk you through this. Really, thank you all. Bye.
Thanks, Faisal. Bye.